Kicked a goal in the first quarter, a couple in the second. Shouldn't have too much bother from here. Drills it home. And the Eagles are back out to that 7 points. So they're going goal for goal at the moment. The Eagles fans applaud. And there's the man in question, Jay Cheap. And good play by Welsh to actually knock it out, I suppose.
It was, just to keep it alive, but also Nick Solder previously. Just good strength in a contested ball just to get the ball forward. And Jay Cheap, ever elusive up forward, finishes off with his fourth.
Jay Cheap coming across from Geelong in the VFL. Cabillo again out of the middle. Now that was never going to go the distance for a mark, so it came back to Sheedy with support from Miles. Got around on the right leg and went long. And McKenzie read it best. Just sat under it. And McKenzie looks for a runner. Got Lewis wide. He's got Miles inside. And Miles has a lot of room. Off to Powell, and deep he goes into the forward line. Salter with the gather. Walk was with him. Hand pass was loose. The veteran, Nelson, shook off the tackle to Walk. Kick was smothered. Walk followed up. And now over the top, Salter. Great contest, that one. Just on the arc of 50. Eagles attacking into the ground.
The most famous number 51 in the competition. Justin Sikalella. Salter in there. Ball close to the line, and I think if we get a ball in, it'll be a good result. A couple of players, Grokey tangling over there with Jade Sheedy, and Salter gets involved. Boundary throw in. Giles and Grokey. You'd think Giles might just get this down, and did so. Kicked off the ground by Salter, only went about a metre. Plant got it to Giles. Back to Cabillo to Fittick. Away to McGlone. McGlone clears the area with a good kick to Vassell. The man running is Pittard. Now he's got pace. He's got free on his hammer. He kicks with his right boot. Good kick. Although McKenzie's got the height advantage over Hassan. Hassan did okay. McKenzie cool in the crisis. Just so smooth. Away to Allman. Was in a bit of trouble there, McKenzie, but makes it look so easy. Man on the outer side is Roundtree. Roundtree goes with a right footer. Out looking for Welsh, can't take the mark. Salter tried to get it back to Welsh. It falls with him now. Welsh has got a man in a bit of space here on a lead. Oh, thumped away from Goldsworthy by McGlone. That was well done. Cabillo and Plant haven't called Plant too much. He's given away a free kick. He might be in the minuses at the moment, Jim Plant. As Matthew Goldsworthy, well, he's just had the 3 handballs. Goldsworthy gets a free kick. And a 25-metre penalty. Where did that come from, Andrew? You were watching that with your former eagle eye?
I believe it wasn't handed back to him on the full. Okay. And that's why it was the 25.
Matthew Goldsworthy is Jade Sheedy taking a well-earned break. He's busted his boiler this afternoon, as he always does. For goal number 4, to Matthew Goldsworthy. And the goal umpire doesn't have to do too much work with that. It's a 13-point lead to the Eagles. Sturt crowd boo, but he's pretty hard at it.
There's Ernie Wenschke, been around the Eagles for a long, long time. Makes his way, I think, from Largs Bay, pretty much down that area every day. And there's Ron Fuller and his former assistant in Shane Reid. Just having a look at the game.
What about George Tuppence Kersley? Anyone that you know missed only 2 seasons, been available for 98 seasons?
I'd be disappointed if he missed those 2 seasons.
He'd be annoyed. He was 1 and 2.
Want to know what he was doing in those 2 seasons.
Out of the middle, double Blues take it full. Gum just blocking the way. And then he received some support as Allman put his head down and tried to go the length of the field. That was never going to happen. Bowen looking for Gum. Lewis, did he drag it in? Well, the Eagles are all over it, and the Sturt players are standing around saying, well, hang on, when does that become holding the ball? Bowen again, just tapping it down. He said, well, if you can't clear it, I'll try myself. Sikalella tried to break the tackle, threw their head back. Umpire said, I'll have it again.
I'm watching you guys at the same time, mate. My vision's going back and forth here.
A little bit of frustration creeping in for players and umpires alike. Cleverly done by Cheek. Broke clear, put it into the path of Staple. Staple in front of Plant. Takes his time. Oh, gee, that kick was hard to perfect for what he wanted to do. He did have players in the corridor. Evans and then Nelson coming the other way. And then under pressure, Fiddick was good. They share the ball around and finally get it clear.
Pittard, the handball over the top to Hassan. They're off and running the double blues. Touches it on the ground. Pittard's calling for it again. He won't get it. He goes long to the pocket. And it's an ill-directed kick. Hill got back. Uncontested mark. Could have done a little bit better. Hill, the centre half back, finds Lewis. Lewis has got a man in space. And that's Sikalella. Sikalella delivers nicely to Grokey. Grokey looks so graceful as he takes the mark. Away he goes. Could be that catwalk that he's been practicing on. That's a horrible kick. A Glone flew. There's the spillage. Goldsworthy thought about a shot, kicked it around the body. It bounces. Which way will it bounce? It through from behind. Had a couple of options there, Matty Goldsworthy. Decided to put it on the left boot. Eagles by 14.
Just their 5th minor score of the afternoon. They've been in pretty good form. Plant can go to Pittard. He decides against it. Now, things have tightened up somewhat in terms of options. Good kick to Bowen. Bowen misjudged it, let it go over his head. Geddes the other way. He's a long kick, but this time just pulls it short. Lowered the eyes, Welsh. And then he's got one running wide and cheap. He knows where the goals are. We've seen that this afternoon. Does he have the distance? Well done by Walk. Managed to get a hand on the ball, a fist on the ball. And now Plant trying to get free. Umpire score, play on. Nelson follows up to Miles. Miles wide with the kick. Jared from behind knocks it over the line.
It's good play by Luke Jarrett, though. He did come off John Cock. He left his direct opponent, pushed up the ground and just made a contest. You know, that sort of team play finds the Eagles, and that's a good area that they can improve this year.
Nelson, 7 disposals this quarter, all handballs.
Yes, been doing plenty of that. He's marshalling the troops back there. Loose ball to be won. Gilhouse did all right. Evans on hands and knees, and another ball up. Fighting pretty hard, the big man. Here's Luke Powell about to re-enter the fray. Matthew Broadbent taking a spell. Gum going nowhere. Got it to Hassan. Quick hands looking for Sheedy. Lewis below his knees was pretty good. Always tricky, those left footers. Out in front, just finds a bit of turf. In the end, the ball's dished off to Welsh. Welsh gets around, wants the left boot. Solder gave it to him. Wobbly ball. Who can mark it? It's Grokey. It was a wobbly old ball, but Grokey's been right up to the task today and played in front.
Yeah, just Fiddick lost him in traffic there. You can see another Sturt opponent was in front of him. Fiddick's right behind him, Plant, but just got to do a little bit better than that. But full credit to Adam Grokey for working to the front and playing in front.
Former North Adelaide player, switching to Woodville West Torrens a number of years ago, and really, under Mick Godden, is shining out. Grokey from 30 metres. Good kick. The largest lead in the game so far, 20 points. And Adam Grokey's got a couple.
Yes, it is a dangerous margin now for the double blues, but Adam Grokey, like a big advocate of Adam Grokey, love the way he plays and that he rolls on all the time. There's Solder and Welsh working together. Welsh takes it on, just gets it into a dangerous position. We see Goldsworthy's there front and centre if the ball comes forward, but Grokey's good enough to pluck it and finishes off with a goal.
Marks inside 50 this quarter have been 4-1 the Eagles' way, but centre breaks have been Sturt's way, 7-1.
It's a 20-point margin in favour of the Eagles. Closing in on three-quarter time, 24 and a half gone. Gilhouse beaten that time. Evans, clever. Hassan, toe poked it forward. Coming across the front, John Cock. Oh, great release for Evans, who fumbled. Evans then released the hand pass to Sheedy. Hasn't been prominent this afternoon, Sheedy. He's taken down inside forward 50 for the double blues. 14 possessions for Jade Sheedy. I'd venture to suggest that's down on his normal output. From memory, he's averaging about 27 this season.
Hey, ducked in.
Allman taken down. Umpire calls for the ball again.
Duck your head into him.
Important period of play late in the term.
Yeah, just a late goal here either way could really give you momentum into three-quarter time. And look, the double blues desperately need it.
Hill to Lewis, then into the path of Remington. Cabillo, who's been very solid this afternoon, overran the ball though, having done all the hard work. Lewis, speaking of hard work, bullocking the other way, and they've managed to get the ball maybe 30 metres, maybe even 40 metres away, further away from their goal face, the Eagles. They did pretty well there. They still crowd in. This is traditionally from Ron Fuller's time at the club what we expect from the Eagles, but they've added a few features, and certainly Mickey Godden had said he wanted them to score more. Well, they've certainly done it.
Yeah, they've certainly been more efficient, but they've also taken more risks through the midfield and running harder from defence. So it's certainly notable that they're able to kick. Now, they're able to kick goals, which puts a lot of pressure back on the opposition.
They had 3 goals to half-time last week. They beat Norwood by 19 points. The last beat Sturt in round 6:08. That's quite incredible. Bouncing ball, Roundtree, and another lockdown. Sam Miles is number 19 there for Sturt, and the last to get up. There he is, number 19, spraying away. And good touch today. Cabillo over the ball. A couple of them have got him. So we're getting close to three-quarter time, and it's gone in a bit of shutdown mode. Cabillo's been all right. 8 kicks, 7 handballs, and just kicked a goal. So, and I've liked his work right around the ground, shepherding. And Bowen, taken by Sheedy, smart player, over the top. Chance here for Miles. We know he can kick a long ball, Sam Miles. He goes long, looking for, not finding Chambers down there. Ends up with Jared. Jared wants his left boot, clears the area. Hassan got back. Orman couldn't quite take the mark, then released. Sheedy pounces on that, had Miles right there, and he threw it. It's against the 2002 McGarry medalist. Doesn't give too much away. Roundtree to Sikalella in a 2-on-1, and well done, Grokey. Lent assistance. Remington's caught and swung in the merry-go-round, and the free kick will go to Patrick Fiddick. Fiddick's been all right for them today. Good defender. Short kick. Finds Miles.
Right, that's fine. Take it out of the back.
Miles now forced to take his time. There's actually nobody behind him in terms of the Eagles, so they push forward. He looks to this side of the ground to plant, and then decides to instead go to Herring, who's worked hard. So Herring drops it over the top for Nelson. Just a little too much carry on the ball. Across came Cheap, having a standout game this afternoon to McKenzie, and then Orman. Orman goes over the top, looking for Staple. Didn't quite get there. Now Grokey taken down. Staple has to release in the tackle. Bowen, Sheedy. Finally, they work at a McGlone in a bit of space. This time, the kick to Nelson, much more favourable. Off he goes to Evans, closing on 50. Evans goes for Chambers. Chambers, oh, he's reaching out to grab him, and he was taken down by Grieger. So right on three-quarter time, Grant Chambers has an opportunity to kick his second goal of the afternoon, and now with a 25-metre penalty, which of course was only needed to be about 10 metres. There should be no doubts at all. Chambers slots it through. He's got 2 for the afternoon. He's got 634 to his career name, and it's Sturt now back, really back in this contest, trailing by just 14 points. There's the free kick, Andrew.
Oh, geez. I don't know whether he grabbed hold of Ben Grieger. Looks like Grieger did a pretty good job, but look, that's the advantage of getting the ball in quickly and long and deep, and it puts a lot of pressure on Ben Grieger, and he's forced in the end to concede the free kick, and Sturt get the all-important goal to give them some belief. Just thought there were a couple of key players in there, and I suppose that some of the lesser lights for the Eagles that we haven't talked about before in the Goldsworthy and the Cheap and those sort of players have bobbed up, and we really haven't seen it from Sturt. You know, Vassal's been pretty good, but some of their fringy players, their bottom, 6 to 10 players, we really haven't seen anyone from Sturt really take up and take notice, and that's a real difference in the game at the moment. Also thought Mark McKenzie just was a real stalwart down the back half. He started to get his hands on the footy. His usage of the footy was fantastic, but his composure under pressure, his ability to use the footy so well was a key implement in that third quarter.
Saw Luke Norman taking some notes there going into the three-quarter time huddle. It was almost like he was listening to you, Andrew, trying to get everything down before he went in there. Let's have a look at what happened in the third quarter, and Sturt started pretty well. Cabillo, he's been good this afternoon in tight. Just the rove there and almost the sleight of hand for the goal.
Yeah, just no one stayed at his hips, but and there's McKenzie getting a full. But Cabillo, look, they led the centre break 7-1, and you just feel as though Cabillo was the key to that, just working inside his opponents and on the move. And there's Nick Solder. He benefited there from Scott Welsh going off, gave him a little bit of space to work with, so they've got some work to do there. There's a fantastic hit out. And a fantastic work there, and Chambers was able to get loose and kick his first goal of the day. And there's our ruckman getting involved in Miles. You know, we just followed the footy and hunted the footy, and there's just the prize packet of the day, along with Jay Cheap. Matthew Goldsworthy's been fantastic, kicking goals but also setting up goals.
Just a free kick from Grieger, errant there, so 2 free kicks for 2 goals against his name in the third quarter. Great work by Goldsworthy there. Not the kick so much as just the ability to get out of that tight corner with a beautiful little shimmy and step. And then here we see as Welsh takes on his opponent in McGlone, just gets the kick away to a dangerous position. And Grokey in game number 100. Just a nice mark out in front, and there's the free kick to end the quarter. The Double Blues getting back within 14 points thanks to that goal by Brant Chambers, just their third of the term and his second of the afternoon. So 15-5, 95 the Eagles. Sturt 12-9, 81. It's been a close contest all afternoon, and it's really the goals have come from players that we didn't really expect. I mean, Gum's got 3, Crane with 2, Chambers, of course, we only just saw there kicking his second for the afternoon, and Cheap and Goldsworthy, the 2 smalls, getting the 4-goal hauls for the Eagles.
Yeah, the small defensive from both sides really haven't clamped down on some of their crumbing forwards. And as you said, Cheap and Golds, we probably would have more expected goals from Solder, Welsh and those type of players today, and Chambers and Herring up forward for Sturt, but it's been those crumbing forwards who have caused the most damage for their respective sides.
It's been a great contest. We're going down to the huddle, and we're going to listen into Luke Norman addressing his troops.
All right, Evo? Yeah. You're going to a wing. Yeah. Right, you're going to a wing for this quarter. Yeah. Right, you're right to run out a quarter on a wing. Yeah. So Gummy and Sheeds, you go back to your role up forward. All right, and Bass and Craney and Sel, you ruck roving with Ua. All right, you right with that, mate? Good boy. All right. Okay. We're just going to go back to our normal structures up forward. Hey, discipline costs us again. 25 or a 50 metre and a goal. All right? We just can't afford to do it. Let's keep our mouths shut and just worry about playing the game. All right? No more discipline things. All right, how are we going to win this game? Well, we need to hit the ball forward, don't we? We need plenty of run from behind, but we've got to hit the ball forward on the 45. Let's get our rover on the bolt, okay? Really important that our rovers and ruck rovers in general play have to be man on man, all right? And around the stoppage as well, but in general play, we've got to be better, all right? Got to lift our work rate a little bit too, all right? You could just sense them. Start of that quarter, we were right on top of them, all over them, right? And we just missed opportunities, all right? So any opportunity that comes our way, we just got to make sure we nail them. We've got to nail them. That half forward line, all right? More movement. Need more movement out of it. We're going back to just our normal traditional forwards, all right? Need to use that hit up, all right? Got to have that hit up all the time. Look for it, then. Yep. We've got to look for it, all right? Make sure that we use that hit up. Make sure our midfielders aren't sitting in that no standing zone, all right? Too many times that quarter we got the ball and these midfielders sitting in this no standing zone. What do we say? Stand out and get in there with the flight of the ball, all right? Okay, we just need to hit our targets, all right? Come on. And when we go forward, don't sit the ball on the head, right? They've got too many tools that can zone off and impact at the contest. So that's why all our forwards have to be on the move, to make them accountable, all right? That's why we've got to use that hit up. If it's a 25, 30 metre hit up, we have to use it, all right? Then we get the run coming past and we create to go over the next line, all right? Let's go in time.
Come on, lift now, come on.
There's Luke Norman there for Sturt. Over at the Eagles, recurring themes from Michael Godwin we've heard throughout the day, protecting the corridor and stopping Sturt from coming inside. And also forward pressure, just wanting to try and work in and keep that ball in there. I think Godwin believes that there's been enough pressure put on by his side all day that he now thinks that Sturt will start to perceive a little bit of extra pressure there and make some errors as well to help the Eagles with their cause. Both sides still down a man. Lee Treby, Toby Thurston's off with corked hips. Neither will return.
Thanks for that, Son. As we look through those stats to three-quarter time, and they are very similar with the exception there, handballs just blowing out for the double blues. I guess a little bit of reflection of the Eagles' pressure.
Yeah, probably handballs under pressure and missing targets, I suppose, during that quarter and probably in the second quarter. So, they clean up that area a bit. Interesting, the centre breaks. Remember, the Eagles led 7-1 in the first quarter. Certainly 16-5 since then. So, Sturt have got on top thanks to Josh Trubelo.
Let's go with the final term. Here's Michael Maney.
Should be a real ripper, Neil. Looking forward to it. It was level at quarter time. It was the Eagles by 8 points. At half time, the Eagles by 14 at this break. So the game's not done and dusted yet. Really has been swinging backward and forth. Last quarter of round 4 in the SANFL. Good bounce by the umpire. Gilhouse tried to take it out of the ruck. Sikalella, wobbly old ball. Grokey, lovely hands to Goldsworthy. Another possession for him. He kicks forward. Floating at the back was Sam Miles, who takes the mark for the double blues. Spreads it to the outer side where Evans has run into some space. He'll use that left foot of his, looking for the tall timber in Giles. He got a nudge from Sikalella, it must be said, and the umpire said it was okay. He might have been doing a bit of ball watching, the umpire there, but Sikalella definitely worked him under the football. Experienced campaigner. Thought about going into the middle to Gilhouse, but decided against it. Cheap is the shorter option. Jay Cheap, 4 goals. He won't kick a goal from there. He's got Sikalella running into space. Called the play on, and that ball just hung around. Hassan came in pretty heavy on Sikalella. Sikalella just lays on the ball, and it'll be a ball up. Chris, some stats in that for the game so far.
Yeah, for the Eagles, Jared leading on 20 along with Powell, Broadbent 15, Goldsworthy 14. For Sturt, Gum 23, only 3 in that term. Evans 18, Vassell 16, Sheedy 16.
Here's Sikalella, got it away to Salter. Salter's short kick finds Geddes, and Geddes a couple of kicks from goal. In short, good kick, and Welsh takes the mark. And he is about 25 metres out directly in front, and this is what Scotty Welsh has been doing for pay for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. And just wonder where the Sturt defenders, but also their midfield should have been pushing back into that space in front of Scott Welsh.
But the world's biggest band-aid on his face there. Copped an errant boot from accidental from Ben Nelson. Here's Scotty Welsh. And I see it, but I don't believe it.
Yes, Luga's in a great position. Corridor, really, as a quality player, should have really finished that.
Still, they lead by 15 points. 2 minutes, final quarter. Long kick in. And the only player really with eyes for the ball, Staple there, went back and took it away from Sheedy. So Staple looks up, and again, Sturt, a lot of numbers defensively inside 50. So he goes square to Roundtree. John Cock couldn't pull him down. Powell wide. Inside Evans, no, he wasn't. Hand pass release. John Cock opposed now to Jarrett. Jarrett, can he use his pace? Did it pretty well. Hand pass was loose. Roundtree with the crumb. Roundtree inside forward 50, and Fiddick just using his leap. Broadbent through the pack, onto the boot. Goal for the Eagles. 21 points the margin. They look like winners even this early in the final term.
It's a fantastic player, Matthew Broadbent, and a great finisher. Really worked their way around. Eventually it comes forward. There's front and centre, inside Crane, and just turns it around the corner and finishes off. Gets the all-important goal, this first goal this last quarter.
Matthew Broadbent, 12 and 12 last week. That is 12 kicks, 12 handballs, and this week he's had 10 kicks and 6 handballs. So he's decided to kick the ball a bit more today. Back in the middle, 21 points, as Neil Cross mentioned. Crane, who's sort of gone out of it a bit, but he's got that explosive pace. He can cut you up. Kicks long, looking for John Cock. I thought he tripped over. Will it be paid advantage as Hassan was running into an open goal? And it's got to come back to John Cock.
There's a few double blues are questioning that, given what happened at the other end. You know, stoppage, and everybody stopped. The Eagles went forward.
Yeah. Well, you've got 3 umpires out there. We've all got different ideas. Sheedy's kick is poor. You don't say that very often. But Mackenzie, whose judgment of the football is second to none in this competition. His judgment is so good, Mark Mackenzie. Must have been a pleasure to coach, Andrew.
Well, he's reads the play fantastically well. It's a luxury to really play him in defence, and I'd suggest when he does get his fitness to a good level, I dare say he'll run through the midfield.
Grieger with a pretty high looping kick. Cheap at the back, couldn't take the mark. Powell always working hard. So too the man with him. And he's got a nudge in the back, has he? Free kick to Powell. Broadbent really running hard in the last quarter. The kick looking for Grokey, who got rid of his man in Fiddick and took the mark. He's been outstanding today. They're running toward goal. Welsh versus Nelson. Some body work by Welsh was terrific. He just gave the slightest of bumps to Ben Nelson and took a lovely, well-judged chest mark.
It was a beautifully weighted kick by Grokey too. Spotted the space, was all behind. Welsh just led back into that space, kicked it over the top beautifully, and Ben Nelson, while he pushed hard back, Welsh showed all his experience.
Be tough for Sturt if Welsh can kick this goal. He doesn't miss this one. Scott Welsh has got 2. And it's out to a 27-point lead. And I think that's the biggest margin in the match so far.
Yes, good run on the outer side by Matthew Broadbent to run and carry the footy. Grokey's troubling Fiddick at centre-half forward and centre-half back respectively. And there's that kick over the top into space.